The Zion Williamson situation just continues to get worse, man. I don't know how, but it somehow has. And it's a shame to see, maybe fall from grace isn't the right term, but it's the term I'm going to use, that seems to have happened in Zion's reputation and in his career over the past few years. I mean, I feel like it started with the weight stuff and Mariah Mills, and it's just gone nowhere good since then, pretty much. Zion has been, with the exception of that play-in game against the Lakers, where he had 40 points, was dominating. They were probably going to win, and then he got hurt with 3 minutes left and hasn't barely played since. He has not had very many bright moments the last year or so, and it's a shame that when he was finally having a really bright moment, he got hurt. But that's been the story of Zion's career. Injuries, weight concerns, underperformance. And over this past couple of years especially, because when he started his career, yes, I understand there's been some injury stuff throughout his career, but he was playing like the generational prospect that he has proven to be. And yet I am really concerned that we are just never going to see a consistently healthy peak Zion Williamson. I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm truly at the point where I think if you're New Orleans, you might actually strongly have to consider trading him. It's a shame to say for a guy who is as talented and physically gifted as Zion Williamson is. But let's just put something very, very clear. And first and foremost, he has to take his weight seriously and he has to take his body seriously. If he does not do those things at a much higher level than he has these past few years, his career is not going to end up where he wants it to be and where NBA fans would like to see him be. Because when he is healthy, he is an incredibly exciting, incredibly fun player to watch. And yet we just haven't seen much of that these last couple of years. And it's been a real shame for Zion Williamson. With that being said, before we hop into it and break it down further, if y'all haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 1,000 subscriber mark on the channel. Uploading every single day, multiple videos a day, less than 50 subs from 1K. So trying to hit that in the near future as well. Trying to get this channel monetized. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Let's talk about Zion. So the main reason that I am making this video is because of the report that came out yesterday, as y'all watch, that Zion has been out for about a month, but he's also not close to coming back with a hamstring injury of some sort. New Orleans is 4-17, I believe, right now, playing terrible for the most part. It's just not a good spot for this team. They're going to trade Brandon Ingram by the trade deadline. I pretty much guarantee. I think it's a 99% chance he gets traded. This is a team that at this point is going to tank, and their best bet for this year is realistically to get a top tier pick in the draft. With that being said, looking back, I think the DeJounte Murray trade was a bad trade for them. Not that DeJounte's a bad player, but giving up Dyson Daniels, who's been incredible, doesn't feel like that's good, because I don't even know if DeJounte for Dyson right now is a trade. Like, if you said, just asked any NBA GM, are you trading Dyson Daniels for DeJounte Murray? I feel like the GMs are probably, a lot of them are going to say no. Not to mention they gave up 2 first-round picks and Larry Nance Jr. as well, who's still a very useful role player in his own right. That trade feels like a bad idea for the Pelicans, and it just seems like this team is in a really, really rough spot in a lot of ways, and Zion's lack of health is the biggest way. I mean, is the biggest contributor to this team. And like I'm saying, if he can't get his weight under control and he can't stay healthy, I struggle to see a future for Zion as he continues to get older and things continue to get a little bit less easy. You know what I mean? Like, generally a player's career prime is in their mid to late 20s, right? But with Zion's body and with how reliant he is on his physical gifts to be such a great player, I'm not saying he's not a skilled player, because he is, but he is, especially at his height, super reliant on his physical athleticism and skills physically to be such a dominant NBA player as he's proven to be in the past. If he doesn't take care of his body, he's going to continue to get hurt. Those injuries are going to continue to take their toll and continue to, I feel like, lower the maximum potential of Zion. And he's also just going to get older. The athleticism is going to slowly start to shift and leave him. And I mean, injuries will contribute to that as well. And you just wonder if this is a guy who we're ever going to see actually reach his basketball peak. And that's a shame. Because when you look at Zion, I mean, he comes in his rookie year and he's shooting 40% from 3. Yes, not playing a ton, but 60% from inside the field. Second year, yes, the shooting was bad, but he was 62% from inside the line, averaging over 7 rebounds a game, 27 points. He's an all-star, playing amazing. He misses the next season with injury and then comes back and has another all-star season, but then promptly gets hurt and misses most of the year. But again, when he played, 62% from the field, 7 rebounds a game, really, really efficient scorer, playing amazing. Last year, he's actually pretty much, for the most part, quote unquote healthy, plays 70 games and yet the efficiency goes down a bit, 57.5% from the field. And this year, in admittedly only 5 games, small sample size, the performance was just not there at all. 46% from 2-point range. That's unacceptable for a guy as skilled and as physically gifted as Zion. It just can't happen. You need a guy, especially a non-threat pretty much as a floor spacer, because he's really not a serious floor spacing threat. You just cannot have him being that inefficient from inside the line. And I think the injuries are a contributor to that. I think the body is a contributor to that. Look, Zion Williamson is one of the most gifted athletes we have ever seen in the NBA, really ever, in sports that I can think of. Guys who are that big, that fast, that strong, and that athletic are very rare. And Zion is an incredibly gifted player who also has like actual off the dribble skill. He's a good playmaker, super skilled player, but he's never been a great defender. I don't think he's likely to become one. And if the efficiency is taking a toll offensively and he can't stay on the court and he can't keep himself in shape, he quickly becomes a guy who's just a distraction and not really a real asset to your team. And for the Pelicans, who are not, I feel like, in a situation right now where you want to win games, and a situation where I don't see a realistic path for a core of DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, Zion. I like Trey Murphy a lot. I like Herb Jones. I know he's been hurt this year. I like Jordan Hawkins as a pick, but I do kind of struggle to see the path for this core to compete in as tough of a Western Conference as the Pelicans are in right now. And it makes me wonder, is their best bet just to cut bait, trade Zion, get the assets you can for him? Like, I think his trade value is lower than it used to be for sure. And yet I still think there are some teams out there, especially if he comes back later on this year, plays better, and improves his value a bit. I could see teams being willing to give up a pretty decent haul for the Pelicans for Zion right now. And again, if they can tank this year, they can get a high pick. They have decent assets for the future. They can get some assets for Brandon Ingram. This is a team that has the potential to rebuild in a way with real assets and real skill and real talent to make themselves a very competitive team in relatively short order. I just don't know if that's going to happen with Zion. And I almost think they might be better off at this point in his career with the lack of reliability around him physically. You really might just be better off trading him and letting somebody else deal with it and trying to build all the assets you can and just commit to a rebuild. And I know that's not what the front office and the coaching wants to see, right? Like, I think that means the front office and the coaching staff would probably wind up getting fired by the time that the Pelicans are good again. But for the team themselves, I have a hard time seeing a path to contention right now. And I truly think Zion is just an unserious basketball player. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, to be honest. It's got to be better. Zion Williamson has got to be better than he has been in terms of taking care of himself and taking his job seriously. I mean, he truly has the potential still, I believe, to be one of the best players in the sport. But it just seems like that might wind up being unrealized potential. And that is a shame for a guy as gifted and as talented as Zion Williamson is. I mean, we'll see what happens. There's still plenty of time in his career for things to change. And I hope they do. But the path they're on right now looks really, really bad. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.